Welcome to the Living Ageless and Bold podcast. Each episode, I bring you amazing women who inspire, educate, and share their experiences and journeys along the way. So grab a glass of wine or a cup of coffee, find a cozy spot, and let's relax and have some fun hearing what can be accomplished after 55. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Living Ageless and Bold. Today, I get to geek out a little bit. You guys know I'm a huge sports fan, and my guest is Women's Basketball Hall of Fame coach Lin Dunn. She's been involved with women's college and professional sports, get ready, 55 years. A coach, a GM, an advisor. She coached at Austin Peay, at Ole Miss, Miami, Purdue. She was the first coach and GM of the expansion Seattle Storm. She's also the former head coach of the Indiana Fever, which is a team we all have heard about lately. And she won the WNBA championship there. She then became the general manager, and now she's serving as a senior advisor. And we are going to talk all about her storied career today. So welcome, Lin.
Thank you so much. Boy, you've done your homework, haven't you?
Oh, that's what makes these podcasts so good. You are amazing. And when I read about like your growing up, and I can just see in my head, I always say we stack to get where we are over 50. But talk about what life was like when you were growing up in terms of athletics and girls in sports.
Well, it was a real interesting time in the 50s, and I grew up in the South, mostly in Tennessee and Alabama, and loved sports. I grew up in a sports family. We were highly competitive. In the backyard, we'd play baseball, softball, high jump pit, everything. And I wanted to play interscholastic sports, but it was against the law in Alabama for girls to compete in interscholastic sports, which just broke my heart. So fortunately,
let people let that sink in. You guys, in our lifetime, against the law, like that's crazy.
Right.
Crazy. Sorry.
It's just, but that's the way it was significantly before the passage of Title IX, which didn't pass till 1972. But I was fortunate, I guess you could say fortunate. My parents got a divorce, and we moved back to Tennessee, where girls' high school basketball now is big. It's big in Indiana, but it's big in Tennessee too. And I got to play 2 years of the old half court 6-on-6. They would only let us run to the half court, and then we'd have to stop. And the guards would guard, and the forwards would shoot.
You poor girls. Yeah.
Well, they didn't think we could run full court, because then we might sweat, and then we might faint, and then we might die. So they would make us only run half court, which is bull crap, that. So I had those 2 years. Then I went off to college at UT Martin, and still no scholarships. Very few teams for girls. They let us play badminton, a little tennis.
Wow.
The little lady liked sports. And so, very frustrating for me not to be able to do that. But the year after I graduated, they started collegiate women's basketball at the UT Martin, and their fantastic freshman was Pat Head Summitt, who later became one of the greatest basketball players. And she's a Chi Omega, by the way. It's too bad Pat's gone because, Alzheimer's got her at an early age, but she would have been a great interview for you. And she loved Chi Omega.
And we'll tell people this is how I found Lin. We are sorority sisters, not from the same school, but we are both Chi Omegas. And I'm finding really great ones as I go through their podcast and their magazine. And that's how I get to bring these amazing women to you all.
Well, Chi Omega is where I first learned my leadership skills. I have to give them credit. When I was in college and became the GH, the president, man, I had to learn how to lead.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's no question. I served as an officer as well. And I learned a lot. So the organized sports, same kind of thing.
Absolutely. That's where girls learn teamwork. They learn adversity. They learn competitive spirit. They learn the things in the sporting realm that we really don't learn in the classroom. And so that's where the guys always had an edge on us in the corporate world, because they know how teams worked. And because we weren't allowed to play, we didn't quite get it. But now I understand the corporate people, the corporate world, they really want past female athletes because they understand how to survive and how to thrive in the corporate world.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fascinating. My son played hockey his whole youth growing up from 4 till he was 18. And literally every job he's gotten, and he worked on Wall Street when he graduated, they saw that and they said, oh, you know a thing or two about teamwork.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big plus for men and women.
Yes. Yeah. So how did you get into coaching? I mean, you played for 2 years, and then how does this evolve?
Well, I majored in health, physical education, recreation, and English. I know my English is a little shaky with my Southern accent, but I did major in that. But I never was fulfilled with my drive and my competitive spirit. And so I thought, well, I'll just go into coaching. You know, that's the way I can, you know, I can't play anymore, but I can coach. And it was also about opportunities. You know, when I started my career at Austin Peay, they didn't give scholarships. We didn't have any money. We didn't have a budget. It was just 1970 before Title IX. And so, but I had players that wanted to play the game because they loved the opportunity. And so I'll always remember those times, but I had to beg, borrow, steal equipment. We could use the gym at 6 a.m. We could use the gym at 9 p.m. at night because everything else came ahead of anything to do with women's sports. And I did that for about 5-6 years, about wore me out at Austin Peay. And right. And so, but I was coaching volleyball, basketball, tennis, and teaching 8 PE classes. I taught all the PE classes. If you remember, used to in college, everybody had to take 1 hour PE. And, you know, it was swimming or golf or tennis or something.
I took golf.
Yep. I taught archery. You know, I didn't know how to even do the bow, but, you know, it was something that I did. And then I coached on the side. And so then finally, when I went to Ole Miss in 76, I was able to give some of the first scholarships. You know, we started to fund women's sports, volleyball, basketball, and tennis in particular. And so I was just part of that growth. By 76, Title IX had passed. And, you know, Title IX just means whatever's good for Johnny is good for Judy. You know, we're going to treat Johnny and Judy
just explain a little bit.
Yeah, that's what it means.
But is it really even? Like, I think of the football programs that, you know, get all that money, that are women's athletes really, and we'll talk about NIL in a minute. Let's say before NIL, was it really an equal division?
Now, you know, that's never been really equal. Come on. No. The majority of the money and the resources has always gone to the men's side. But once Title IX passed and there was the threat of a lawsuit, then they started to give us a couple of pieces of the pie. Not half the pie, but let's say there's 10 pieces in the pie. Well, we were getting 2 or 3. And, you know, we kept fighting and maybe we got 4. But never, it's never been fully equal. Now, there may be a few schools now who are making money in women's basketball and women's volleyball who are starting to say, hey, wait a minute, we need to really give them some more resources because we can make money. Now it's big business, but it's never been completely equal because of football.
Right. Right. And I tell you, I'm a Virginia Tech Hokie, and it was so fun to watch those women. I mean, we didn't miss a game. We went to as many home games as we could. It was unbelievable. They are so good.
And they're really good and they're competitive. Yes. Yes.
Oh,
skilled.
And matter of fact, Georgia Amore is my favorite player ever. And she Kenny Brooks coached at Tech and then went to Kentucky, which I know you were there a little bit too. Yeah. And she followed him and then got drafted by the Mystics. And I said to my husband, because we're in the DC area, I'm like, we need to get tickets. And then she tore her ACL.
Yeah, so but she'll be back. You know, it's funny. It's funny you should bring up Kenny Brooks because when they had an opening in Kentucky for a head coach, the assistant AD called me and she said, who should we hire? And I said, Kenny Brooks. You've got to go get Kenny Brooks.
It's your fault.
It's my fault. And they absolutely love him. They love him.
Oh, he is the nicest man. We're really involved down at Tech. So we met him at several events and just a class A guy.
And his whole family, his wife, his kids, you know, but I said, when we hang up, you call him and you hire him today, because if you don't get him, somebody else is going to get him.
Yeah.
So blame me.
Well, I liked you, Lynn, until right now. Okay. So right now, women's basketball is, like I said, we got really involved with Liz Kitley and Georgia Amore of Virginia Tech, made it to the Final Four. It was so exciting. It was so fun. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese. I feel like everybody knows about women's college basketball now. Like, how excited are you about that?
Well, I am thrilled that I have lived to see where we were and where we are now, and the explosion and the respect and the attention and the resources that now these female athletes are getting. And they start playing now when they're in the second and third grade, and they're getting coaching and they're getting the resources and they're growing and they're getting better. And now we're seeing that benefit in our college women's sports. South Carolina with Dawn Staley and Tara Vanderveer's tremendous career at Stanford, and of course what Gino's done at Connecticut. But we've got an abundance now of outstanding female athletes, and they're starting, as you mentioned the word NIL, they're starting to get paid because they've been underpaid and overused for many years, both men and women. And so there's starting to be some equity there. And then we're benefiting in the pros because these great college players are now coming into the WNBA. And hey, let's give credit to Caitlin Clark. I was smart enough to draft her with the number 1 pick in 24. Kudos to Coach Dunn. She figured out to take the best player in the world, and our attendance has just exploded. Our merchandise, our branding, everything, and marketing, and this weekend we hosted the WNBA All-Star, and it was an amazing event in Indianapolis. And of course, 70,000 people came into the city, and we were sold out for the All-Star game. But the whole WNBA is on the move right now. Everybody is now filling up the arenas. They're coming to see Angel Reese. They're coming to see Caitlin Clark, Sabrina Ionescu, Breanna Stewart. There's 15 or 20 elite women's basketball players, some of them Olympians, that it's just a great time in women's basketball. It really is.
It is. It's exciting to see. But let's talk about, we talked about the Title IX. So let's talk about professional sports. I remember seeing when Caitlin got drafted, what she got. Now, granted, I know she got tons of sponsorship deals and that's where her money is, but come on, what's the NBA rookie salary? What's the WNBA rookie salary?
Well, so let's remember, the salaries are set by the collective bargaining agreement. And so, okay. And then they last for several years, and then you renegotiate again. But when she came into the league, it's a firm cap. And so it was set that the first 4 players would make $77,000. That's just the way it is, and it's the way it's set up. Now, I feel sure the next time they'll probably try to negotiate for higher salaries. That's up to them. But it's a hard cap, and it's set, and second round makes this, third round makes this, certain years. And then when you finally become a free agent, there can become some negotiation. But the most right now that a WNBA player can be paid, a veteran, would be around $245,000. And so we have one player, Kelsey Mitchell, who makes the $245,000. And there's some players all around the league that make that, but that's the max that you can make now. And it's just set, it's firm. Now over there in the guys with their billions of dollars and their huge media rights situation, they're our big brother. And so we watch them, we see what they're doing, we decide what they're doing that we'll copy, and we'll look at some of the things and say, I'm not sure we want to copy that. So we have a role model to try to follow, but we obviously know it's time to think about salaries.
And where do you see it? Like, we're huge hockey fans. I mean, the starting rookie salary is $800,000 for your first year. Mm-hmm. You're guaranteed that. And, you get someone like a Caitlin Clark who really grew the sport almost single-handedly. I mean, there were others, and not just her, but everybody knows Caitlin Clark.
Right.
When does somebody like that get her fair share, get her due?
Well, let's be thankful that Nike reached out and gave her that $28 million contract. Gatorade's millions, State Farm, so she has another source of revenue for her now. But there's not a whole lot of players, maybe 5, 8 players that are getting those big contracts now. And so moving forward, I think we all know we need to address the situation with the salaries, but the outside money that started in college, that's where that outside money started with the name, likeness, situation. And that they could get money, cash and be paid to play. So it's big business now in college with women's sports. It's always been big business with the men, but now it's become big business with the women, and it's the same with the growth in the professional sports. And I'm happy to see it. I'm happy to see 17,000 people at every arena that we play in. We play in New York tomorrow night, and it'll be packed. They'll be hanging from the rafters. And so we'll come home. Every game we have is nearly sold out, or mostly all. They may all be sold out by now. So it's just a great time in professional sports.
I know in DC they moved the Mystics to a bigger venue so they could sell more tickets. Mm-hmm.
So the Mystics originally had played in the big arena downtown where the Wizards played, and then they weren't filling it up. So they built them a smaller, about a 4,500 seat arena. And then, of course, when Caitlin Clark comes to town, we moved back to the big 20,000 seat arena. That's where we played last year. Sold it out.
That's so exciting.
I love it.
Yeah. What do you think about, you personally, throughout your career with NIL? Do you think that's the right thing? Do you feel college athletes should be paid?
Well, I think we made a mistake way back by not sharing some of the revenue that the colleges were getting. That was our product, and they were they got scholarships, they got room, board, tuition fees, but they weren't getting any piece of the pie. And I think had we been a little bit more generous years ago and shared some of the money, hey, they didn't have money to go to the picture show, that picture show, I'm from the South. Or snacks or anything like that. So we were. I thought the NCAA was kind of greedy, and so were the colleges with the revenue that they had. It wasn't being shared with the athletes. Now, because of a lawsuit, opened the doors, and it's gone the other way crazy the other way. And I don't think any of us really intended it to be that way. Like, okay, go buy a quarterback. Let's see, what are we going to have to pay to get our next quarterback? $4 million. Oh my God, how did that happen? So it needs some guidance. It needs some
guardrails,
controls, some guidelines to get it done. Because it's crazy. It's like the Wild Wild West.
That's what we were saying. And a school like Virginia Tech is not a big SEC school. Like, we could never compete to that. It's got to become a more even playing field in terms of, we don't have that kind of money. We don't have those kind of donors where we could get what did the kid get who wins some, was it Miami? The quarterback.
Yeah.
What did he get? Like 8 million, 12 million? It's
like, crazy.
Wow.
Well, so that's a really good point. Here's what I think is going to happen, Christina. I think we're going to have to see this super conference where you're going to have the Alabamas and the Tennessees and the Michigans and the Ohio States with all this booster money and just billions of dollars. They may go over there and play their own little league because some of the other colleges, they can't get in that race, and their board of trustees and their people don't want to be in that race. And so we may start to see we've got the Power 5 conferences now, but there's people, like you said, that they don't want to spend multi-millions on one player.
Right. Or can't.
It's crazy. Yeah.
But then you look at Texas A&M, who put all that money in and they didn't do well.
Right. Yeah. It's great. And then you've got the portal that's going on where a player, literally, this is how bad it is. At halftime, they could be mad at the coach and come out and say, I'm not playing the second half because I'm transferring. Yeah. And they go into the portal. And they leave and they move over there. I mean, I think I drafted a player last year or the year before, and she played at 3 different schools because she not a good fit. Just transfer. So add that to the NIL. I don't want to coach in college. It's crazy.
Well, we know the coach at Virginia Tech. I've gotten to be good friends with his wife. And I say that, I'm like, well, and he's such a great guy. And he's all about fostering the players, making them better men. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of them come from broken homes, and he had this, you know, that's just what he does. He doesn't just coach them. He's, you know, like a father figure. And if everybody's bouncing, it's like he can't do what he does best.
Well, and it's really hard.
Coaches are leaving.
It's hard to discipline these players now. It's supposed to be about learning about discipline and how to deal with adversity and how to be a team player, you know, and how to handle tough times. But when you start to discipline some of these players, they say, I don't want to do that. I'll go someplace else. So this whole educational piece that we've always had in sports and college and high school sports is kind of going away. And that's unfortunate. It's become semi-pro in college, almost semi-pro in high school.
Yeah, you hear about high school kids getting money now too.
Yeah, like, they're moving around getting money too. So it's crazy. Be careful what you ask for. Be careful what you ask for.
Exactly. So talk about your role. What are you doing now? So you've coached. Well, let's go back. Being a coach, winning the WNBA championship, that had to have been incredible.
Well, it was incredible. You know, in 2009, we went to the finals and we lost to Phoenix. And if I'd done a better job coaching, we'd have probably won that championship. 2012, we were the underdog. We had to beat Atlanta on the road. We had to beat Minnesota on the road. And we just had a great group of players, in particular, Tamika Catchings, who is by far our all-time greatest player with Indiana Fever, played at Tennessee for Pat. And she led us to that championship. And so it was a very rewarding for me because the players worked so hard, and to see them be underdogs and win, it's just a wonderful experience. And I've loved coaching. I've coached volleyball, basketball, tennis. And then I retired from coaching in 2014, but then went back and helped my friend Matthew Mitchell at Kentucky as an assistant. He'd gotten everything out of whack and he needed some help. So I went back and helped him for 2 years. Then I stepped away and retired again. And then the Fever reached out to me and said, hey, we need some help in the administrative level. Would you come and be a consultant? And I did that. And then I became the interim general manager. And then I became the general manager. In the last 4 years, that's been my role. Making the draft picks, the free agents, hiring the coaches, firing the coaches. That's not fun. And then after last year, after we drafted Clark, we had such a great year, I said, it's time for me to step over in another role. Let's go get 2 young 50-year-olds, somewhere in their 50s, women, and let them become the new leaders, a new president and a new general manager. And I'll step over here and I'll advise them and help them and support them and mentor them. And that's what I'm doing now. And I love it.
And I love it. Before we came on, you were worried that, this is for women over 50. And you said, well, I'm over 70. Is this still okay? But how inspiring for everybody listening and watching that you were in your 70s and still doing what you love.
Yeah. And let me say this. I think those last 3 years, it was very stressful what I was doing. I didn't take care of myself. My health got haywire. And then I realized about 6 months ago, I'm 78 years old. If I want to live to be 88, I better do something about it. And this is to all you women out there now. There's no reason why you can't get more fit. If I can do it, anybody can do it. So I started walking. I changed my diet. I lost 50 pounds. I started lifting weights. I'm doing Pilates. And so I feel better right now at 78 than I have in 30 years. So take care of yourself. Nothing really matters more than that family and that health.
Yeah.
That's my lesson. Right. That's my lesson for today.
No, you're absolutely right. And I've interviewed so many people along the way, and that's with the older guests, that's what everybody says. And we have had a lot of fitness people on, and it's never too late. You can just start walking.
Let me tell you what I did. I started walking 5 minutes in my house every day. And I thought, okay, I'm going to walk for 5 minutes inside the air-conditioned house. And then I went to 6. And then I went to 7. Then I went to, I'll do 5 minutes, 5 times, do it 2 times. And I built back up to now I'm up to 40 minutes, inside or outside or on my stationary bike. But it was slowly, I was so proud of myself when I did 5 minutes.
Yeah. And that's what people don't realize. Just start. And once you start, you get endorphins. You really do. And you get to a point where you want to do it. Like it's not a chore. It's like, oh, that feels so good once I do that.
Right. And I was so proud of myself, that I was proud that I could do 5 minutes. Do 5 minutes, rest, and do 5 minutes more. And then it just kept building up. And then I start feeling better. I start feeling better, taking better care. Went from the health checkups, did the physicals. And so now I feel like I'm doing a better job with my role because I'm healthier.
Yeah. So how long now you're healthy, you're 78. How long do you think you're going to be doing this?
I don't know. I'm real curious about what I may do the next 2 years. Do I want to do this another year or two and maybe do it till I'm 80? Or do I want to step away maybe after the end of this season and try to be retired again? Now, I do have a consulting a company that I own, and I coach coaches. That's what I do. I coach coaches, and so college coaches, professional coaches can reach out to me, and depending on what they need, it's confidential. Do you need just one session, or do you need me to come really help you? So that's my way of giving back and helping grow the game. And so everybody needs help. Coaches need coaches. Everybody needs a coach.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of that, I read that you had some pretty incredible mentors along the way, like legendary. How did that come about?
Well, I was just very fortunate in my career, great friends with Pat Summitt. She was a tremendous role model for me, and Jody Conrad at Texas, and Kay Yao at North Carolina State, Sue Gunner at LSU. Some of them are gone now. And then, of course, my grandparents were great mentors for me. My grandfather was a county judge and a Baptist preacher. So he would marry him and he'd bury him. So my grandmother was taught in a one-room schoolhouse, and she instilled in me the value of education. And she was a reader. I'm a reader. I read everything. I love to read everything. Leadership books, killers, spy, whatever. I like to read everything, but they had an impact on me. So I've just been fortunate that I've been around people that have instilled a competitive spirit in me, how to deal with adversity, resilience, tough times never last, but tough people do. That's ingrained in me. So I've just been fortunate.
Yeah. So, wow. All right. If you could go back and give 50-year-old Lin Dunn a piece of advice from what you've learned through your career, what would you say?
What is it? If I knew then what I know now, if I knew then what I know now, or whatever, I'd be better or something. Yeah. Patience. I was pretty impatient. I would be kinder. I would have spent more time with my mother. Looking back, I was so caught up in my job, in my career, in winning, that I've put too much of that first. I wish I'd spent more time with her. By the time she got to the nursing home, I wish I'd spent more time there. So I would have been kinder, more thoughtful with that. As a coach, I would have been more patient. I'm pretty demanding.
You don't seem it, but you're a very successful coach, and you have over 500 wins. So you don't get that way by yeah. You don't get that by just, oh, it's okay, honey. You just go do what you want to do.
I always felt like wherever I coached, Austin Peay, Ole Miss, University of Miami, Purdue, wherever in the pros, I always left the team better than when I got there. That would kind of be my legacy. Like wherever I coach, the players get better, the team gets better. Sometimes we win championships, but we always get better. And we always give back. We're great players and great people on the court and off the court. That matters to me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. That is so important. It really is. Is there one place that one place you coached where you really feel you made the most difference? It had the biggest impact on you that really left a legacy?
Well, I know my time here in the twilight of my career, I call this my last chapter, my final chapter, working with Pacer Sports and Entertainment, the Indiana Fever, the Indiana Pacers, the Simon family, has been a real joy for me because I am working for people that are truly invested in their women's teams and doing things right and giving back to their community. And I can't say enough about the Simon family and their commitment not only to sports in the Indianapolis area, but to doing and giving back to the community. You know, how can we help? What can we do? And so that's been a real joy for me and a real treasure. Because I've worked some places way back where they didn't even know we had a team. You know, I thought we had a team, but they didn't know we had a team. So at this particular time in my life, to work with such great people, you know, it's all about the people. Who are you working with? You know, who are you working for? And, you know, and are y'all all on the same page? And then that's where that joy comes from.
Yeah. Okay, one final question. Where do you see women's sports in 10 years?
Well, it's already exploded in the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, there's not any doubt about that. And I think it's only going to continue to grow. We've got enormous media attention now, social, you know, all of the Twitter and the TikToks and the Instagrams and all of those things. It's blown up on the streams. It's blown up everywhere. People are paying attention. Little girls, little boys, grown men, grown women are following women's sports. Now, let's be smart. Let's make sure we take care of her. Let's do the right thing. Let's grow her in the right direction. We've got a big brother. We've seen all the paths that he's gone down. Well, the ones when he made bad decisions, let's don't do those.
Oh, Lin Dunn, thank you so much for joining me. It really was an honor to have you. Thank you.
Well, it's been fun. Are we already through?
We're through.
Okay.
Just like that. Okay. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. Please share this episode with all your sports friends, male, female, everybody. What a great episode. Thank you.
Go Fever! Go Fever!
Thank you for listening or for watching this episode of Living Ageless and Bold. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit subscribe. And if you like the episode, I hope that you will give us a great review. You can also head over to livingagelessandbold.com and sign up for information, inspiration, and exclusive opportunities for us, women over 55. Thanks for listening. And remember, no matter what you do, keep living ageless and bold.